Hey y'all, how you doing? Gulf Coast Prepper here. Hope you all having a great day. Thought I'd make a quick video. Bored, sitting here waiting to pick up my youngest daughter from school. Um, what to talk about? I mean, there's so much going on. Um, I think it was yesterday. This FDA came out and said that they don't recommend people getting the jab and the flu shot together because it can lead to strokes, which completely contradicts what the White House has come out and said, where they're telling you to get both of them. I forget who it was, but there was one guy who even said that's why God gave you two arms, is one for the jab and one for the flu shot. That's insane. That's a lot of chemicals to be pumping into your system at once, especially when one of them is experimental. But you do you. I wouldn't take either one of them. Never did, never have taken a flu shot. I've never gotten the jab. You see a lot of stuff going on in the world where all of a sudden we have sudden adult death syndrome. Where the hell did that come from? It's never been a thing before. But now you see young people, prime of their life, athletes, even kids, just playing on the playground at school, all of a sudden having heart attacks. I mean, come on now. It's got to be something. And it's not the unjabbed people that are dropping dead either. It's always, you got the jab, and then probably on top of that you got 5 or 6 boosters already. It's crazy. One thing I did want to talk about, and it's kind of funny to me too. I was against, as a prepper. We prep for everything and anything. It's not just the end of the world kind of stuff, but most preppers, I don't. They're just because they're expensive. I don't have full gas masks and stuff like that. That stuff gets pricey. But when it comes to masking, and I never wore a mask at all. Once or twice when I went to a grocery store down here, at the very beginning. But I mean, I work outside, so I wasn't worried about it outside. And my wife had to wear one at work. She was forced to. And and there's nothing wrong with it. The thing that gets me is, all the preppers like, oh, I'll never mask. Well, why do you have a gas mask? If you're a prepper who spent the money on this stuff, you would think as a prepper you'd be jumping for joy because finally you were right, and you get to use your mask, and then, you got to wipe off the 10 years of dust off of it when you brought it down from your attic. But and it's crazy, especially with the Project Veritas that just came out with James O'Keefe, where the dude who works for Pfizer is flat out saying on camera that they're mutating the COVID virus on purpose so they can sell more vaccines. Well, I mean, that does go to show you that they're gonna come out with something else. They're gonna, I mean, the World Economic Forum and Bill Gates and everybody else, they've already been on camera and stuff saying that they want less population. I think they said the world only needs about 500 million people, which is insane. That's a lot of people that they want dead. But the point is they're gonna come out with other things and they're gonna get more deadly. The natural path of a virus, usually each time it mutates, statistically, it usually gets less and less where it's gonna kill you. even with COVID, after the original, then we had Delta, then what? I think there was one in between, and then Omicron. Well, I mean, by the time it got to Omicron, I mean, yeah, it was more contagious. Everybody got it, but it was, people weren't getting as sick. Hospitals weren't being overrun. Um, but when they start messing with it to specifically make it mutate, it's gonna get worse. They're gonna keep throwing stuff at us. I mean, look how much stuff that there's just been the last couple of years, other than COVID. Now we got bird flu's back. We had monkeypox, even though that was just a gay dude thing. I don't even think when that was going around, that was a big thing in the news. I don't even think any women got it. I think it was all just gay dudes, and it was gay dudes at like gay festivals that were, dropping trow in an alley. Were getting ran through, getting the Tinder sauce on them. But they're gonna, keep throwing viruses at us. So, I mean, eventually, you're gonna want to mask up. So the point is, get some masks, because whether you want to wear it or not, whether you think it's all crap or not, just remember, during COVID, when it first came in 2020, end of 2019, you couldn't find them. I mean, you go on Amazon, you go into normal stores, you could not find any. People started making cloth ones and selling them on Etsy and all that kind of stuff, but those don't work. They literally do not work. We know that now. I remember seeing, what's that chick's name from Who's the Boss? Show way back in the day. I guess I just showed my age. Alyssa Milano. I mean, I saw a picture of her, doing her virtue signaling. And she had on like a crocheted mask. It had holes in it. And, I mean, give me a break. What the heck is that doing? You need real masks. If you can't afford like end of the world nuclear type masks, at least get a good mask, good surgical masks or something. It's not going to stop a virus, by any means, but at least you'll have something for if you have to go outside, because you never know. You never know when there's actually going to be a virus or one of these mutated ones that they've played with, and you're actually going to see people dropping dead in the street. I think at that point, people just aren't going to really go outside anymore, at least if you're smart. But then they'll come rolling through with FEMA trucks and military trucks saying, oh, we have a vaccine. Okay, all right. But just be prepared. That's what I thought was a little bit weird and funny, that preppers are, you got people trying to sell you full face masks and stuff, but then when it came to masks for COVID, and I get COVID wasn't, at least in my opinion, wasn't as big of a deal as people were making it out to be, unless you were older, or had immune deficiencies and stuff like that, then I get it. But other than that, again, get yourself stocked up now, because with this guy who's just saying that Pfizer is playing with it, you're gonna need them. You might need them. I have some, even though I didn't wear them during, the first stretch of COVID when it first got here. I just didn't see a need in it for me. I work outside. And it's going to be what it's going to be with everything else going on in the world. It's just one more thing you got to keep in the back of your mind. As far as the Russia front, we're at war. We are at war. U.S. just hasn't come out and said it yet, but we're sending tanks and missiles and funding it. I think Poland is sending tanks. Germany just got pressured into agreeing to send tanks. And so, I mean, we're there. We are there. But again, there's no need to panic. It's not gonna do any good for you to freak out and panic and everything else, because there's nothing you can do about it. It is what it is. We've been in wars before. This has been since Russia went into Ukraine. It was a proxy war. Now it's just going to be a flat out war. Honestly, there's no real difference between a real war and a proxy war. One is just we're giving them, the ammo, the guns, everything, and having somebody else do the fighting. But it's still a war. You're still in the war. Now, it's going to get to the point where we're actually going to be sending troops. I mean, we already have troops in Poland. I think pretty much right now, the majority of the people that are fighting in Ukraine are just Ukrainians that they're forcing to fight because of the douchebag Zelensky. And other than that, I think it's just, mercenaries and people like that. But it's going to get worse. And it makes no sense why we're sending tanks and missiles and more money. It's like, Zelensky and the government over in Ukraine, they got one hand out taking what we're giving them, while the other hand is saying more, give us more. It's crazy. And it makes no sense, because you got Joe Biden here emptying our strategic oil reserves, and he says that he's emptying our reserves so he can refill it at a cheaper price. Well, there's not going to be a cheaper price. We're going to get even more indebted into foreign oil, into OPEC. And the price isn't really going to come down. If anybody else has noticed, here where I live, and usually it's a little more expensive in other states. I've noticed that. But here, I just filled up this morning at a regular gas station here in South Florida. It's up to $3.64 for at a regular gas station. Now I fill up at Costco, but even Costco, because it's always cheaper, but it was still $3.33. And just 2 weeks ago we were at $2.80. It's nuts. It's crazy. And the bigger threat is obviously China. They're, in my opinion, they are way more of a threat, just economically, militarily, way bigger of a threat. And we cannot fight two wars. We do not have the resources to fight on two fronts. If we start fighting with Russia, and China decides, hey, well, this is my chance to take Taiwan, there's going to be nothing we can do about it. I seriously doubt that we will get involved in that. It won't make any sense. We won't have the fuel to fuel our aircraft carriers, fuel our subs, although, subs are nuke powered. So, but just aircraft carriers alone, the jets, bombers, everything else, we just won't have it. It won't be there. So I don't know. But, and I've heard, I've been on a few channels, and, you're going through the chat, And there's I even saw in one of the channels I watched, they had a poll, and the poll was, do you think there'll be boots on the ground here in the US? Now, as crazy as the world is right now, and as crazy as our government is right now, I just can't see boots on the ground here. The second real Americans saw another, I don't even care what country they're from. I think real Americans, and at that point, I think it would make Americans come together more, if there were boots on the ground from another country. I do believe that. I really do believe that. Because I think deep down, anyone that's not just a young punk, is trying to move away from all this race baiting and everything else. So I think boots on the ground and fighting on normal streets, and it's not our government, it's somebody else's. I just don't think that's a good idea for any country to even try to do that. I think, hang on guys, I gotta put my sign up for my daughter. I just don't think that's a good idea for any country to try. I mean, they're more than welcome to try, but there's way too many Americans that have guns, and especially now, the last couple of years have been breaking records on how many new gun owners there are. Even women, I think. I think the amount of women even broke a record over the last 2 years of how many women are actually getting armed up, and good for them. Good for them. Even my wife wants to go to the range, which is awesome. I mean, it's great. I told her, let's get you there. But yeah, I don't see boots on the ground here. I think we're gonna we'll be in a war, no matter what. Might be with a few different countries, because China backs Russia, Iran is backing Russia. There's quite a few places that are backing Russia. So, it might be fighting on a bunch of fronts. Will we be able to handle it if nobody is going to come out and help us? Who knows? But anyway, guys, I'm going to get off here. About to pick up my little one, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.